Good morning, I'm Lauren Granada, and this is NBC5 In Depth. Driving under the influence carries serious consequences: injury, death, not to mention the lasting damage it can bring for a person's personal record. But these incidents are not uncommon. In 2022, the Vermont Agency of Transportation reported approximately half of fatal crashes across the state involved an impaired driver. Most recently, there's been another troubling pattern. 3 state leaders cited in separate incidents, either for driving under the influence or showing up to work intoxicated, and each of them happening all within about a month.
How much you had to drink today?
I haven't had it.
How come I can smell alcohol?
I had some in the middle of the night.
Body camera footage taken February 21st by Montpelier police shows Bennington State Representative Jim Carroll getting arrested for suspicion of DUI on his way to the State House.
You're .081. Can you just put your bag down, sir?
Carroll's arraignment delayed while he seeks treatment in rehab, and as the court weighs whether the case should continue after discrepancy over his blood alcohol content that day. Carroll, just one state leader facing this charge.
We would enter a plea of not guilty to the charge.
Addison County State's Attorney Eva Vakos also charged with DUI after allegedly showing up to a crime scene in Bridport drunk.
These factors are sufficient to meet the probable cause standards.
Now she faces a possible suspension of her law license. The Vermont Supreme Court is set to hold a hearing on the matter this month. Lastly, the chief of Vermont State Emergency Medical Services, Bambi Dame, is on leave after staff at a St. Albans hospital reported she showed up drunk to work. Dame's EMS license and privilege to practice have both been suspended. And we reached out to all 3 of those state leaders and their attorneys. None were able to speak, but we did get a chance to catch up with Tom Salmon. He served as the Vermont State Auditor from 2007 to 2013. Nearly 15 years ago, he was arrested for DUI and is now shedding light on what it's like to go through something like this.
Let's take a moment back in time for a moment to November 13th, 2009. What happened that night?
I blame it on Friday the 13th. No, that wasn't it. And thanks for this, Lauren. I was going from work at the auditor's office to having dinner with some colleagues from the auditor's office to celebrate, and made some bad choices. I ended up drinking hard stuff, toasting in the beginning, and then having wine for dinner. And when I left, I ended up not using my turn signal. I was tired, but that's no excuse. And then, boom, blue lights. And my whole world just was like, this is a thing. This is gonna be something. So I wasn't sure if I was technically legally drunk. As it turned out, I was .086. Just over the legal limit. But I kind of knew what to do. Got booked, the whole thing. Later that night, reached out to my old friend Shay Totten at 7 Days and said, DUI 1, things are gonna get interesting. And it really did. It really got very serious and very, as I said, I think I said to Shay or to somebody else, I said, it was like I had just come back from Iraq, where I was on convoys New Year's Eve and election night. And now I was kind of like, I'm going from hero to zero. I think this is going to be bad. And I didn't think of me per se about my future, my reputation, my political career. I thought, oh God, I've disappointed my family, my office, my colleagues, my community. Oh man, and then it got very interesting from there.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it was such a big deal that talk about being in the fishbowl of the state, and I knew pretty soon what I was going to do, which was, as my dad said, there's no right way to do a wrong thing. I was going to plead guilty. And I think the interview I did on Vermont Public Radio was just simply, I'm a professional, I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA. 0.086 is greater than 0.08. I had people who said, oh no, well, you could plead that to careless and negligent. I was like, it didn't sit right. So I just took my lumps. I went to court, paid the fine, told my attorney, Brooks, I said, I'm gonna be pleading guilty, and went to crash up in Huntington for the weekend, lost my license for 90 days, had to take the bus from St. Johnsbury. A friend, Jackie, who worked in Montpelier, she gave me a ride. So it was just like going from big shot to what happened. And for me also, I mean, when that happens, you just have to ask yourself, why? Why did this happen? I didn't think anybody did it to me. I didn't think anybody set me up. I didn't think there was any foul play. I felt like, no, I was touched. Ding. I was bonked on the head like, hey, wake up. And it was up to me to figure out what that was going to be.
Did you have a drinking problem?
I'd been overseas and had no drinking over there. I came back. I didn't really take time as you do to decompress. I was actually quite hypervigilant. But no, I wasn't drinking and driving. I didn't have what you would say a drinking problem. When this happened, I went immediately like, okay, alcohol's out of my life, gone. And then I was still hypervigilant and operational, like you are in the military, to say, okay, what's next? What's the next step? What's the next step? But, I mean, it was traumatic. I mean, I tried to take my daughter down the street to have a hot chocolate. She says, okay, Dad. She's my youngest. She's like 10th grade. She's wearing sunglasses as we're going down the street. And it's not cloudy. It's not sunny out. She's wearing sunglasses like I'm not with him, or you don't know who I am. So it was just like I can talk about it now and not have a dagger in my side, but I looked at that as when people get a DUI, whether they're public officials or everyday Vermonters, there's usually a reason. You're getting bonked on the head. Sure, I was only 0.086, but who knows? If you let your ego in a drinking situation make you keep up with the crowd or celebrate and not think that you have, you can have 2 beers at the Legion with your friend, your buddy, talk about deployments, and then go home. But that night I came back from Iraq and I kind of thought I was a big shot. I thought I was bold, I thought I was fearless, I thought I was invincible, and I was not. And I learned to go from really humble and to why did this happen and what am I supposed to learn? My mother used to always say, hey, son, it's not what happens. It's not what happens to you. It's how you handle it. And I think when you're in that squeeze, the best thing you can do is to just take your lumps. Some people thought I over-apologized, but no, I realized how deep I had stepped into that mistake. I could have hurt somebody. And it really affected my future. And I had to kind of go inward and almost zen on it, like you couldn't be attached to it. In politics, you have so many enemies, real and imagined, that you have to have a mental burn pit where you just throw crap on and not identify with it, not personalize it. And I think that I just had to not be attached to whatever was going to happen, but I had to get up each day and try to be productive and helpful.
And is that how you moved on politically?
Yeah, and that's how I moved on. In fact, a lot of people say, oh yeah, you got in trouble, you were a bad boy. Yeah, you didn't win that election, that next one. And they don't realize that I did win the next election, and then I got a job in DC as a senior executive and was able to lead 800 people, 600 people in one of the biggest IG offices in DC. So I was able to land on my feet and keep moving. But I had to just take a mindset of not being attached to the outcome. Just do your best in the place you're in, show respect, and get back to your best values, your principal values. And I later taught 1,000 individuals, civilians, military, about setting values as if you have 3 values on your business card that drive you. If you have to wake up feeling kind of sluggish, and my first one said fair, honest, and professional. So I think just kind of going back to basics and being that way. I had 2 50-cent pieces on my auditor's desk to remind myself to be fair and balanced and not be distracted, and be very cognizant that the ego wants to pull you into places of comparing yourself. Because I mean, nobody had to criticize me. I was shredded. I was like daggers in the side. It took me, you know, a while to get past that pain.
So you can empathize with what these 3 state leaders are going through right now.
Oh, yeah.
What's your advice to them right now?
Oh, man. Well, you just saying what they're going through reminds me of just the trauma. Like I told you, I was on convoys. It was nothing compared to like being in the fishbowl and what they must be going through. You know, the questions they're asking themselves. Why did this happen? Why me? Why now? What am I supposed to do? And then the people you disappointed. I don't know any of the 3 state individuals. They can certainly reach out to me on my website is theflattable.com. But I know that they're in a place where hopefully they're being kind to themselves, they're having self-compassion, and they're breathing, hopefully breathing and feeling what's happening to them, not just being in their head and trying to think their way out. Your mind isn't gonna figure it all out. You have to start to get really centered and know that it's like chutes and ladders for me. You're gonna go down to the bottom, you're gonna start over, you're gonna refresh your aspirations, you're gonna live your values, you're gonna set intentions, and you're going to be okay.
Still ahead here on NBC5 In Depth, an expert in crisis PR gives us insight into how a local leader could handle a situation like this and still come out successful in their political career. Stay with us.